Okay, this is the developer of Gratuitous Tank Battles, and I'm going to talk you through some of the tactics that you might want to use in the game. First of all, as a defender. Now, right at the start of the battle, one of the things that you can do is you can place down as many units as you like without worrying about the number of individual instances of each particular type. So you can place down a lot more infantry than you could normally. That's pretty much the only reason to kind of deploy stuff right at the start. The other thing is that they're all built instantly, so you might want to get some stuff built straight away. I'm going to start the battle now. One of the most important concepts in the game as a defender is to realise that not all of the attackers are as important as each other. I mean, these mechs, yeah, they'll shoot at me and they'll damage my turrets, but they're not actually worth that much to the attacker. If you mouse over any particular unit, it will tell you how many victory points they're worth, and a mech's only worth 90. So it doesn't really matter if these units survive. I'm not going to really lose the game over it. Although obviously it's good if I can destroy them. I'm just going to place down some more units while I'm talking. Have some of them. There is a slight element of rock, paper, scissors to the game, in that units that are armoured are vulnerable to lasers, units that are shielded are vulnerable to ballistic weapons, to cannons and so forth. So here I put down 2 laser turrets because there's some tanks, and those tanks are likely to be armoured because tanks can't have shields. So here you can see, you know, that's working quite well against the tanks. That ballistic gun there, that's not going to do much against armoured tanks. So you need a few more of them. And probably some infantry as well. Normally I wouldn't put down infantry in front of any enemy machine gun, because machine guns are devastating to infantry, so these guys aren't going to last very long. Concentrate fire. One of the things that I'm doing as I'm playing is to make sure that I never reach the supplies cap up here. I don't want to get into a situation where I'm not generating any more supplies, because then I'm basically wasting supplies that I would have got because they cap at a certain point. So although there's a lot of enemy units about, I'm not too worried because they're nothing that's really going to score that many points, apart from that truck there that's worth 200. I shouldn't have let that get by me there. Although, oh yeah, well there you go. One of the things that it's quite hard to keep tabs on when you're playing is this, dog tags. When you shoot the very last infantryman in any squad, they'll drop a dog tag, and if you click on it quickly you'll get points. If you leave it too late you won't get them, and those points really add up. You really need to get them. Now I'm playing against adaptive AI, and it's spotted that I haven't got much that can do anything about infantry, so it's attacking with a lot of infantry. And the best counter to infantry is machine guns, whether or not that's machine gun troops or the slightly bigger turrets. So I want to make sure I have enough of these. I'm almost certainly going to lose because trying to describe the game and play at the same time is very hard. Okay. These are what I really need to worry about, supply trucks. There aren't many of them, but just 1 or 2 of them can probably win the game for the attacker. So what I really need to do is concentrate the fire of everything on supply trucks. They are the most important thing. That and infantry, but you need to get a lot of infantry across the line to win. And again, I'm just zooming in here to make sure I don't miss that dog tag. Okay, I've just swapped to another map for some variety and to explain support units. You don't have support units at the very start of the game, you need to unlock them. But you'll see there that there's a truck coming along with some of the AI. That's a command truck. That's boosting the rate of fire of these surrounding mechs, and you can also do a similar thing in defence. That there's a repair yard which I've put down, and it has a radius here, and you can see by these little spanner icons that it's going to repair all of these turrets as they take damage. It's quite slow, but it's kind of, you know, it's better than nothing, and it's worth doing. You can also have overlapping effects. So if you have a command center and a repair center overlapping an area, then you can get both effects. I'm just going to put down some infantry and just place a few more units here, and then I'll put down a command center. So this command center will boost the rate of fire of all of these turrets, so they'll be super quick. Need to do something about them depending where they go. They can go that way. Mechs normally have shields, so you normally need something ballistic. You need some sort of cannon to deal with them. Something that is sometimes worth turning on is if you just hit the H key, and you'll turn on the health bars for all of your units. You can just toggle it on and off. There's not a button for it, but there's a shortcut key for it. It's quite handy to tell what units are on their last legs that you might want to just ditch and get some of the money back. Okay, I'm going to take out these guys here. Another thing that's worth doing is, unless you really hate the look of it, is toggling on the damage indicators, which you have in most sort of tower defense games. You have an indicator that's telling you how much damage is being done. By default they're off in this game, but you can always, there's a button down here and you can always turn them on if you like them. Especially when you're learning to play the game and you're not sure what does damage and what doesn't. It's worth having them on. I can see there that I'm doing quite a bit of damage to that unit there. Okay, I'm going to talk through how to play as an attacker now on this sort of familiar map that people get stuck on. You can deploy some units at the start, but you only start off with 1,000 supplies here, so you might as well just start the battle and see what you're up against. So I think it's less defended down the bottom, so I'm going to make an immediate kind of rush and stick down a bunch of mechs to try and catch them off guard. Because when you're playing as attacker, it's always an adaptive AI defending. They're always going to place down units that they think are going to do the best damage against what you've actually put out there. So I put down a lot of mechs there. I can expect them to build some ballistic turrets to defend against that, and you can already see that they're building one there. So basically, as attacker, you're always having to kind of change your tactics in order to catch them off guard. So I'm now going to go just with infantry at the top. And one thing that I am going to do if I'm putting down infantry is send in an ambulance as well. A minute, I've got a spare slot there. Ideally what you do is you surround any support unit with the relevant unit so that you get the full sort of value for money from it, as it were. You can see there that there's a big laser turret that's pretty useless against infantry. They're too small, they're too fast moving, and also they're getting that boost. You can see the icons there, they're getting a health boost. So should have sent a bunch more in there really. And immediately the AIs come back with a load of machine guns and machine gun infantry to sort of compensate. You never want to see supply cap reached, so let's immediately use some so we get our points coming back in. And down here I'm going to place something different. The key is always to be changing how you're attacking, whether you're attacking with armoured units or shielded units, whether it's fast or slow, infantry or not infantry, just so that whatever the AI has put down, and turn off the indicators, whatever the AI has put down recently becomes ineffectual. You have to plan ahead as well, because it's a long way out there. Now because they've got a lot of machine guns there and building a flamethrower, they're kind of designing their defence around infantry, so I think if we go with some mechs, and I've earned 2 supply trucks, so I'm going to send them in. Hope the mechs will absorb all of the fire. and I've got one. I'm going to send a repair truck to support the supply trucks, and then some big mechs to kind of again absorb the fire. And this, I think that's possibly going to work. You only really need, you know, one or two of these supply trucks to cross the finishing line and you win the game. You know, 1,500 points versus 110. Oh, I'm not paying attention, am I? If you haven't already worked it out, if you hold down Shift, then you can deploy lots of units without having to select and drop, select and drop. It makes it much quicker. And you really should be concentrating fire now and then. So selecting a group of units, you can do Shift, drag, select, or you can double click and it will select all similar units like that. Now, tank time just for the variety. It is impossible to win this game while also trying to explain it, but I'm doing my best. It's worth keeping an eye on how many supply trucks you've got, because they do cap. So you don't want to be earning supply trucks, which you get when you pick up a supply drop, and not actually being credited them. If you've got them, you want to use them. If you have unlocked them, you really want to be using support units as much as possible. So if you're going to put down any number of mechs or tanks, then you want to put a repair truck or a supply truck or both in amongst them. Otherwise you're not getting the full benefit. So you see that mech there, because of these icons, it's getting repair support and it's getting a rate of fire bonus from the command truck. So that's a far more effective unit than it would be otherwise. All of these mechs are, if I concentrate them, they should be pretty effective. Yeah, that's pretty effective stuff. That's pretty much toast. So I think there's a weakness down there that I can spam infantry, in so much as you can spam in this game, because you're capped to 4. And again, I need to support them, so send in that. Oh, you actually can use 2. It is a bit of a legitimate tactic to use the support units just to earn points, because they do earn pretty good points for the cost. You're still better off trying to get supply trucks or infantry over the finish line, but it's kind of a nice little bonus. Hopefully that gives you some ideas how to play as attacker or defender. Designing units is a completely different topic, which I'll talk about at some point, but hopefully if you're stuck or you didn't realise some of these things that are in the game, hopefully that helps you out. So good luck.